Vuvu, can you cross the rods for yes, please? Thank you. And can you open them wide, please, to indicate no? Thank you. And with both rods, Vuvu, can you...
Throughout history, humans have tried to unravel the mysteries of the world, often resorting to unconventional methods to explain phenomena that goes beyond the grasp of science. One such method is the use of dowsing rods, simple tools believed by some to have the ability to connect with the spiritual realm. Dowsing rods are so odd, and you either believe in them or you don't. You know I like to discuss freaky things that create unanswered questions, and dowsing rods are one topic that is still being posted about on social media and leaves a lot of questions to be answered. I'm going to show you some videos of individuals using dowsing rods to supposedly speak to spirits, and I'm also going to talk through some of the odd facts about dowsing rods. Listen to all of the info and tell me if you believe it's possible to use a dowsing rod to summon spirits, or if there are tricks being played. Let's explore the reasons behind the enduring belief that dowsing rods actually work and can conjure spirits. Before the rest of the episode, remember, if you enjoy Freaky What content, click the freaky liker button shaped like a hand. Subscribe to the channel and click the content alarm bell so you know when your favorite freaky content is uploaded. Okay, let's get back to it. Dowsing, also known as divining or water witching, is an ancient practice that dates back centuries. The traditional image of a dowser involves a person holding a Y-shaped stick or L-shaped rods like these, walking over a designated area and suddenly experiencing a reaction when they pass over water or minerals underground. This reaction can manifest as the rods crossing, uncrossing, or even vibrating in response to some unseen forces. Initially, dowsing was predominantly used as a method to locate water sources, minerals, or other buried objects. The practice was often based on the belief that certain individuals possessed a unique sensitivity to the energies emanating from these hidden substances. Dowsers, as they're called, would act almost like a spiritual medium and had the ability to feel and transfer the energy into the rods. Over time, however, dowsing's reputation expanded beyond its practical applications and ventured into the realm of the supernatural, and that's why we're talking about it today. The belief that dowsing rods can conjure spirits stems from the idea that these tools are capable of tapping into energies beyond the physical realm. According to proponents of this theory, dowsing rods serve as a conduit that amplifies the user's connection to spiritual entities, allowing them to communicate with the deceased or other supernatural beings. I find it interesting that this is now becoming a thing on social media, and there are many people who claim to be able to communicate with entities. One of the primary reasons people think dowsing rods can conjure spirits is the personal experiences and anecdotes shared by individuals who claim to have had paranormal encounters while using the dowsing rods. These stories often involve contact with spirits or the perception of heightened spiritual energies when dowsing in specific locations, such as purportedly haunted sites or areas associated with ancient rituals. Then there's also the people on social media that turn on their camera and say they can immediately communicate, or that the dowsing rods are communicating directly with them. Here's a great example of that. This is a TikTok user that turns on the camera and, well, you'll see.
Vuvu, can you cross the rods for yes, please? Thank you. And can you open them wide, please, to indicate no? Thank you. And with both rods, Vuvu, can you please point to the direction of your energy? Thank you. Okay, so you know the drill. I've got all of your questions written down in front of me here, so let's jump right into it. Vuvu, should death be feared? No. Thank you. Is death painful? Is it a painful process to transition from the human body back into the spirit world? No. Thank you. Is life on Earth our true home? No. Thank you. Is there such thing as other dimensions? Yes. Thank you. Are we able to access these other dimensions? Yes. Thank you. Can beings from these other dimensions access our world?
Many believe that the power of suggestion plays a really big role in the belief that dowsing rods can conjure spirits. For instance, when individuals visit a location or decide to use the dowsing rod with the intention of communicating with spirits, their minds are already primed for a supernatural experience. Some say that this psychological state can lead to a heightened sensitivity to subtle physical cues that the body may unconsciously respond to, which cause the rods to move in ways that seem mystical. People who don't believe in dowsing rods have a different explanation for how they work. They say that when you already have a specific answer in mind for a question and you're using the rods, your brain unconsciously guides your hand to move the rods to match that answer. Even though these movements might be very small and hard to see, they're happening because of what the person is thinking. This phenomenon is called the ideomotor effect. There have also been controlled experiments where dowsers have often failed to demonstrate consistent results under scientific scrutiny. In fact, here's a video that I want you to check out. Watch what happens when they put this dowser under scrutiny and he fails.
We've heard many opinions, both for and against, in this vital area of dowsing for good and bad places to live and work.
He explains dowsing and the experiment.
Based on the results of dowsing, surely we should try to establish once and for all whether it works reliably.
This gentleman is a professional dowser working for large companies.
Puddle water divining, and I'm also helping out the Paris Mountain Mining Company and looking for the...
Now he demonstrates his professional dowsing.
Well, tonight, Clive, you've agreed to attempt to find a piece of zinc ore like this one right over here, which is concealed under one of the 7 boxes that you see behind us.
They conceal the sample of the mineral, and this professional dowser explains how it works.
This sample of zinc ore, and we'll just conceal the sample with a box, so the conditions are exactly the same as when you come to do the test.
If it detects, it just goes in a side-to-side motion.
Explain how the rod works. When you're facing the ore, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm trying to... We put a white-ended tip there. It has a slight sideways move when you're there. Take it off, and it dies. See it die, comes in, and it dies again.
Well, that seems to be a very dramatic demonstration.
Now he begins looking for the zinc ore that is hidden in one of the boxes behind him.
One of the boxes behind us. Of course, if chance alone were operating here, you'd have a 1 in 7 chance of finding the sample at your first attempt.
All right, here he goes.
Right, number one first. In the upward movement.
He says there's nothing under that one, and he continues. Alright, I'm going to speed this up. You can see where it's at. It's actually under the one he's at right now, but he does not hit on it. He goes all the way through and says he cannot detect anything. So he tries again. He thinks he's found it. Let's see if he is correct. James Randi goes to check and see if anything is under the box. There's nothing there. Alright, he's going to go ahead and take another guess based off his findings. Nothing. There's nothing under the box. And he thinks he has found it right here. Let's see if it's under this one. James Randi goes to lift up the box.
Here we are at box number 2.
And he finally found it.
Yes, and there we are.
So according to skeptics, the rods are moving because the movement of the dowsing rod is attributed to the ideomotor effect, like we talked about, which is the phenomenon where subconscious movements are unintentionally made based on a person's beliefs or expectations. Now, I'm not saying this is true or false, I'm just stating the facts, and I want to talk about both sides. Now, this effect does prove that it can lead dowsers to subconsciously manipulate the rods, resulting in the appearance of a connection to spiritual forces. However, on the other hand, is it possible for the rods to move completely on their own? What about accounts of dowsers actually finding water underground without any prior knowledge? This has happened. How do you explain it? How do they do it? Now also, cultural influences and tradition play a major part in the belief that dowsing rods have the ability to conjure spirits. Many cultures have rich histories of practices involving spiritual communication, and dowsing might be seen as an extension of these traditions. Additionally, tales of dowsing rods being used to communicate with spirits have been passed down through many generations, and that solidifies the dowsing rod's place in folklore. In certain cultural contexts, dowsing is revered as a legitimate means of connecting with the spirit world, and this reverence can create a reinforcing feedback loop where individuals who are deeply ingrained in these cultural practices are more likely to interpret any perceived success with dowsing rods or any perceived movement when they're using them as evidence of spiritual contact. Many people have the desire to communicate with those who have passed away or to gain insight from supernatural sources. You may have seen many videos of people communicating or saying they're communicating with spirits. This is a deeply ingrained aspect of human nature. Dowsing rods with their mystical movements and historical associations provide a tangible method that seems to bridge the gap between the unknown and getting answers, thus the reason they're regaining popularity. Even though research has been done and proven that some people do use dowsing rods to trick people, others claim and fully believe that dowsing rods can absolutely help you get answers from another world, help you speak to spirits and speak to the deceased. While there have been many stories of dowsing rods being fake, there are also many stories of their success. So, it cannot be proven or disproven, but it is a freaky thing that still interests me, and the market for dowsing rods is so crazy. It's wide open. Just take a look. Search. I'm curious to know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about dowsing rods, their ability to contact the supernatural world and find water underground, and I will see you next time.